Wow. 30 points. That is tragic. The San Antonio Spurs blew a 30-point lead last night. And when I went back and rewatched and really wanted to look at what in the world happened, the biggest thing that stood out to me was that this team went away from what was working. Inexplicably, I don't know why, and I don't think it was because New York had this master shift. I don't think that's the case. Quite frankly, I think the Spurs started playing with their food. And if there is maybe any team in NBA history that you do not want to do that against, it is one of the best playoff teams ever in the 2026 New York Knicks. And this 2026 New York Knicks team is more than likely, except for one singular instance in the history of basketball, going to win the NBA Finals. Because only one time has a team come back down 3-1. And to just put it mildly, this Spurs team is nowhere near as good as that Cleveland Cavaliers team was. Because the best players on this team, time in and time out, do not step up when needed. And I know usually, I like to preach the idea that how you get to the last shot, the final build up to everything, is just as important as the final shot. But the execution down the stretch for the Spurs team might be the worst that I have ever seen. Because literally, I don't want to sound like Kenny Atkinson when it's like, analytically, we should be up 2-0. But if they just took care of business in the last 2 minutes, they should be winning this series 3-1. If they simply just executed down the stretch of games. And this is the perfect example of it. If you are leading a game 98% of the way through, you should not lose. If you are up by 30, you should not lose. And if you see that for stretches in this game, that Ariel Hukporti is in this game, you should not lose. But they did. And I don't know where you go from here. I like to be someone who has optimism for all aspects of things. I don't know what you do. Because this is the most deflating, bone crushing, and soul shattering loss that I've ever seen a team have. And when I think of what, if I were to tell a Spurs fan, what would I say? I would say, your future looks bright. Because I don't see a realm in which this team comes back and wins this series. Because quite frankly, I don't think the star in this series has stepped up the way that you would have liked. Victor Wembanyama has not stepped up. Because in the last 3 games, he has not shot the 3 ball very, very well. He went 2 for 8 in this game, 2 for 6 in game, that was game 3. And then in game 2, in another 1-point loss, 2 for 6. Like, this team consistently will rely on Victor to bail them out instead of having Victor be a supplementary piece, and instead of having him be the driving force and the engine of it, where you have other people stepping up, it's, hey, De'Aaron Fox's booty cheek, Stephon Castle might be the dumbest player I've ever seen. Victor, you got us, my man. Go ball out. Like, that's the type of activity we're seeing. And after the game, Charles Barkley went off on this team for being the dumbest basketball team ever, and I tend to agree. Because when you look at the last 2 series for this team, they have played stupid at points. They commit dumb fouls. And the dumbest play that I have ever seen a player make, outside of like Leon Lett touching the ball, is De'Aaron Fox going for a jump or going for a shot with 13 seconds left instead of just getting fouled. That directly resulted in them losing this game. Because you are up by 1 point and you have the ball. Just stand under the basket and hug it. That is all you have to do. He goes up for a shot. He gets blocked. Then on the other way, the Knicks miss. Jalen Brunson takes a bad shot with the amount of time left. Takes like a 30-foot 3-pointer. Misses. They don't box out one bit. OG Anunoby can come in for the game-winning tip-in. And then on the other end, you also time up your play very, very poorly to where Karl-Anthony Towns can get a hand on the inbound, and it just falls short. I mean, there are so many of these little things. Like, all of this is within a 30-second span. And when I say that, it makes it sound like this is a team that is terrible. That they just don't have talent, that they shouldn't be here, whatever. But this team was up by 30 at a point of this game. Like, I don't think people understand. 30 points is supposed to be the benchmark of safety that you have. And even going into the fourth quarter up 15, like, I felt as though, okay, I feel like if you lose a quarter by 15 and you lose the fourth quarter by 15, yikes. Like, that is such a big yikes. And I don't want to make it seem like this is all on one player, because it's not. But I think it's spread out through three players and a coach. Number one, Victor Wembanyama just hasn't played well. He shot 9 for 25 in this game. And when the Spurs started doing really well, what was he doing? He was getting to his spots. The pump, fake, and drive combo was deadly, was lethal. He was taking people off the bounce, and he was phenomenal. He was really, really phenomenal to open up this game. Another person who hasn't performed well, Stephon Castle. I don't think that he has played as well as you would like, as he had a negative 11 plus minus, almost fouled out in this game, and I think the youth is showing a little bit, because I know I hold all players to high standards because they've shown me that they can play at a high level, but this is a second-year player. He is 21 years old. I'm not going to necessarily say, all right, now go be better than Jalen Brunson. Go lock up Jalen Brunson on one end, and then go average 30 the other end. Like, I'm not going to ask him to do that, but if you can give a smooth 20 and not make crucial turnovers down the stretch, that'd be pretty cool. He's averaging 17, but his turnovers are coming at the worst moments. And speaking of turnovers, how about De'Aaron Fox? 4 turnovers in what felt like the biggest of moments. The aforementioned shot getting blocked. He did not play well. He is a player where I think the dynasty starts after him. Because outside of one game, he has played terrible. Okay, I lied. Outside of 3 games in the last 2 rounds, he has played terrible. Years before, he was shooting 37% from the field and 23% from 3. Kept up those averages pretty close, except for the 3-point percentage, just 38% from the field and 44% from 3. But it was just so ugly to watch the process that he was making, where it's just like, you are supposed to be the veteran guard. You are supposed to be the one who can calm everything down. And you are forcing this team to play fast, which, quite frankly, if that's the case, the Spurs are one of the worst teams at playing fast that I've seen. Because I feel as though they are the most deadly whenever they can calm down, get to their spots offensively, feed off the energy of the crowd or Victor Wembanyama, which in this game is Victor Wembanyama's gravity and his ability to pull defenders in, because early on there was a look that they got from 3 where Victor had 3 players on him. Like, that is what they needed to be doing more of. And they tried doing that on the final play, and all credit to them. If Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't get a hand on it, that play would have resulted in a game winner. If Stephon Castle made the shot. But you're asking so much there because you put yourself in such a bad position earlier on in this game where you're up by 30. You're 30. 30. You are up by 30, and then you are asking to magically get back in that mode when you've clearly taken your foot off the gas. Because you don't blow a 30-point lead if you're not super duper locked in. And, I mean, it almost felt as though, like, if there was a magnet in the rim and they just turned it off. because they couldn't make anything after they started off insanely hot. Like this team was up 20 at the end of the first quarter. That was the type of blowout that we had, or at least that we thought we had. Where the Knicks, I want to get to them a little bit. Jalen Brunson finally had his game where he was just fantastic. Shot the ball just under 50%, 3-pointer just under 50%, made his free throws, 36 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Very, very nice. And then speaking of very nice, how about OG Anunoby? 33 points, shooting 7 for 9 from the 3-point line. Having the game-winning play offensively on the tip-in and the game-saving play defensively on the block that he should have never had to make because De'Aaron Fox, whatever. So OG Anunoby was huge in this game. He is directly responsible for them winning this. And that I'm super happy for him. Super happy for all of the players on the Knicks, as I think the Knicks are one of the most likable teams in the NBA where, I like it whenever you see old teams that used to be good get back into it and you can see a whole city rally behind that. I think that's awesome to see. Um, and I think that, this Knicks team, it seems like they're the team of destiny. Like, it seems that legitimately nothing can stop them. And, I mean, this team has won, 13 out of the last 14 games that they've played? Pretty good. Just pretty good, right? They're historically one of the best playoff teams ever. And super happy once again for all the players on the Knicks, as they're going to be NBA champions more likely than not. And I just think that this is such a big wasted and missed opportunity by the Spurs. Is you should be up 3-1 in this series if you simply execute better. Do 2 minutes of a 48-minute game, but they didn't. And I think that's where the youth comes in. That's where the inexperience comes in. That's whenever you can clearly see that they have a first-year coach. All of those small little things about not knowing specifically what to do in the situation show up. And this Knicks team, I mean, the Knicks coach has lost a finals, and they got swept. So Mike Brown has known what is needed to win because he's seen what it takes to lose. Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, these guys have all won championships in college basketball, but they know what it takes to win. Karl-Anthony Towns, for the longest time, he was putting up meaningless stats on a bad Timberwolves team. Once they started getting better, took a back seat and was willing to be more of a tertiary scorer. Now knowing what it takes to win. His defense, in this game, not so great because he picked up 2 fouls in a minute and 5 seconds. That isn't a no bueno there, but the Spurs can even capitalize with that. I mean, if Karl-Anthony Towns plays 26 minutes and you're asking Mitchell Robinson, Ariel Hukporti, and Jeremy Sohan to play a combined 19 minutes, I think you should win this easily. I don't know, man. This is a bone-shattering, earth-rattling loss for the Spurs. They've got to go back to Frostbank Center, which I think that might be where the series ends, because I thought that this for sure was a game that the Knicks, for all intents and purposes, needed to win, and they did. And the Spurs don't have the momentum. They have to go back home after blowing a 30-point lead, and this is going to be one of the toughest games that the Spurs team is going to have to play, because this is your season. Every game from now on is your season. You have to win 3 straight or you're losing the NBA Finals. It's not impossible, but the one time we saw it happen, which coincidentally was the first full series of basketball that I ever watched, and when I say that it takes perfect execution down the stretch to make that comeback happen, and you compare what happened with LeBron and Kyrie in that series, and you compare it to how this Spurs team has performed down the stretch, it is like watching 2 completely different things take place. So if I had to guess right now, there is like a 95% chance that this New York Knicks team is going to be the 2026 NBA champions. Congratulations to New York. Absolutely fantastic year. Fantastic to see them come back and really be a juggernaut team. Awesome to see. Love the parity in this sport. Absolutely awesome. And speaking of things you love, if you love this channel, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. It's absolutely crucial for said channel as we are on the road to get 75 subscribers. After the NBA season, we will start covering the FIFA World Cup. So if you're interested, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. Make sure to turn on the bell notification so you get all updates about anything relating to the Scoop with Coop. And since this is the Scoop with Coop, I'm of course Coop, and until next time, so long, everybody.